the show. Alice forgot to do the intro, so I'll do the intro.
You know you sent me to
I sent her on a mission.
Don't blame your problems on me.
We're at a secret location, which everybody already knows.
Oh,
But we are with Loops,
how's it going, everyone? Thank you for having me here.
and we're with Alice, and we have the little mariachi guy right there, and we're this is the after show, the show after the show, after the show. After the show, and of course I have a beer, like always,
So
and we have wine, and
this is where we have the laughs after the laughs,
yeah.
and where we
And Loops cooked for us just a little while ago. She made us some
I made some like fajitas. Oh yeah.
fajitas,
Unas fajitas con
and it was
habanero.
delicious.
Thank you.
She's a good cook, by the way. All our YouTube fans out there, we she's a good cook. Slip of the finger here. Okay. Anyway, is Alice, Lara. We have Loops.
Loops Munguia. Loops.
I won't even try to pronounce the last name.
Munguia Peña. Did I get that right?
Guadalupe Munguia Peña. That's the full name, but we'll
Munguia.
stay for Loops. Loops. Just for
So she's
screen name purposes.
we're trying to convince her to stay here in Arizona. She's kind of coming our way, but it just takes a little while. She's got a job. She just got a job, and the Lord provided for that, and she prayed and she got it.
Absolutely, that's definitely. I would say that prayer is very important in my life.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, have had a lot of blessings and the best 8 weeks of my life that I could say in this great year. You know, I've had an awesome year, and it's so great to just fall into the right hands and the right people and just feel like I'm at home. So yeah, I mean, I'm just technically there's a couple of technicalities that I have to just do, which is the signing of the blood and what have you. I'm a Phoenician, you know, right?
Signing
It'll
of
come,
the blood.
You know how when you have to do the brother and the blood and you know
Blood brothers.
the blood brothers, you know, we
Blood
have to do
sisters.
that.
You blood sisters.
The blood
You're
sisters.
gonna make me drop blood.
But it's been fabulous. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and this is awesome. Apparently they got together last week without me because I was out in the interviews. As a matter of fact,
And that won't happen again.
She was busy getting a job, unless she's working.
Unless she's working.
She's working.
So we have to do a like who follows us, you know. So we have to find out if we get followed. Like we should do a like they follow me, follow you.
And that's good. I'm glad you brought that up.
Follow the leader. Let's play follow the leader.
You can view this video on YouTube, obviously, and if you tell your friends you'd like to get more videos, so instead of just 8 views, then we have 16, so something like that. So please tell your friends. I always feel like we're kind of remember that show Wayne's World.
Yes.
Wayne's World, party on. I feel like we're doing that, you know. Chips and Salsa World, yeah.
Chips and Salsa World.
Chips and Salsa World, party on, walk on. Yeah.
So how we had a show on Friday. It was phenomenal. You guys should listen to our show on Friday. It's on KFNX. So good. It's so getting used to saying that.
Say it one more time.
KFNX.
Oh,
nice.
And,
1100.
1100 a.m. So you can tune on your radio, or you can go to their website, www.kfnx1100.com. And you can see us live at the studio as we're recording. Loops was there with us this Friday. So was Alice.
It was a good show.
Alice is all there all the time. So.
Yeah, we tried it. If you missed the show, you can do a podcast. Now, I hope that my voice is picking up. I'm kind of talking a little bit louder until we get that special wine.
It's the wine.
It's the wine. Well, this is not wine anymore. It's something else. But if you missed the show, did you already upload it, Sonia?
Mm-hmm.
Sonia has uploaded it, so you can go to the NSalsaShow.com and you can listen to the podcast, or you can even go to SoundCloud and look for us. And our shows are by date, and you can listen to it. And it was a really good show. We had Dr. Lyra Packy, who is an intelligence expert on national security, and he was awesome. We're going to have him back again. talking about the so-called Syrian refugees.
Right, and we left on a really good subject that we were going to go ahead and start, and
Yeah.
we did. We talked a little bit on the post show yesterday, right?
Yeah.
When we met up at our secret place.
Secret, not a secret anymore. And we had the three amigas, and we were dancing. They were showing us the Zumba, and so if you saw the show, you would see that we really rocked it on Friday. And then we went to a secret location for after the show to have a little bite to eat and just kind of relax because you want to wind down after a show. And then today we had the Saturday show, which is on the internet on centralcityradio.com. And that's what this poster here right there. It says listen live, 6 p.m. headline news, commentary, and entertainment. Live link via the www central centralcity.com, and that's you'll see that whenever we're posting or actually when we're on air, you'll see it. And when we're on this after show, we try to have it so you know about the Saturday show. In the future, we'll have posters for the Friday show too.
You know what I really like, George? The fact that there's something about having the microphone. There's something about having the headsets on, the microphone, and all that. And it can be a little intimidating. This is something that's new to me. I'm not afraid of public speaking of anything like that. But when I have the headset on and the speaker, it's something like. But this is casual. This is where we kind of get down in the nitty gritty, and we feel the conversations that we had on the radio, and we had some really nice topics yesterday, and we chatted about them. We have some ideas on how to definitely make the public viewers grow. We were thinking of blogging, and remember.
Yeah, this is an extension. It's a natural one, and actually,
I love it.
It's very comfortable when you find out, and then it's just very relaxing. And you don't have the pressure of having to go to break, watching the clock, and doing all that. And after you do for a while, you get kind of spoiled.
And so what we're trying to do is we're going to try to take the after show and do it on Fridays and Saturdays. But we're working on the Friday thing. I have to convince our videographer to do it, and she's.
And you can make commentary. Go to our Facebook
We
site.
definitely want that.
Chips and Salsa Show, Chips and Salsa Show, and tell us you guys suck, or maybe you have some suggestions.
Yeah,
we still haven't seen Secret Sonia. We don't see her enough, so we need to get her in the picture. And the Divine Dion is here. They're right there. We just can't see them.
It's a secret, though. That's the problem. It's still a secret. It has to remain a mystery. And so, what would be great is that topics that you guys want us to, maybe address. That would be an amazing thing that can share on the blog once we get that blog going.
And our show has the Latino angle, obviously.
So if we say something wrong and we got a little slang, it's the Latino side of us.
And like Dion just reminded us, on the KFNX show on Friday night, you can call into the show. So call in with your topics as well. We're going to revamp some things. We're going to have a phone number here real soon, right, George?
Yeah.
And we'll be able to reach us a little better. We're still looking for sponsors. That's basically the update on the show. We're growing. We're hoping to just keep expanding and get ready. So
they're
listening. We're going to serve you.
And they're listening to us on a lot of venues. I have people in Virginia that listen to us. People in New Orleans, people in Texas, New Mexico, and
California, Colorado.
This is a great way to kind of take it out, not just in the station area, but to say, hey, if you want to have a grand opening in your restaurant or something like that, and we happen to be available, that's something that we can do on an after show for 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, that's a great
true.
way. We can take it to them.
I think take it on the road.
Go
there.
for a happy hour. We're all about happy hours.
Happy hours.
Loops is doing water because she's a little sicky. She's a little mocosa. That's okay. It's okay. She's not talking like that.
She had such a busy week because the Pope was in Washington and then in New York, and she was involved with the church out here because they they
They
is
did
it canonized or
they did some services in honor canonization of Father, which is now Saint Juniper Serra, which was a really nice event to be part of, and kind of like in a small module situation. And we had it's the auxiliary bishop who presided the mass along with several other priests over there, and it just brought chills to me. Just hearing the
just
story,
being part of
just
it.
being part of it. Really, this is a
That's where she got her.
this
That's
is
where
a
she got her little elegy.
this is a historical thing, an event, because he's an American. You would say that he's an American first saint that did the travels and did the missions, and there's a huge history. It's in our history books and Father Juniper Serra, his story, the
He's very
missions.
famous. People know about him.
So it was really nice to now hear and say, wow, he's being canonized, and so the pros and cons. People always have pros and cons, but hey, when you're a Catholic and you love your faith and you love everything about it, there's no cons
I
there.
was
No
There's
cons.
pros,
I was
there's
hearing-
No
cons.
cons about it. Just
Correct me
a
if
lot
I'm
of pros.
wrong, but I think I heard that the majority of Catholics now
Oh yeah.
are over 50 years old. The majority are Catholic. And we still have loops, am I right, George? It's like 1.4 billion Catholics worldwide, I believe.
I think a little bit more than that. However, I do want to address something. My son, in the last 2 years, he's a
By the way, we're all Catholics.
he has that's right. He has been involved in the Steubenville, and they hold him at the I think it's San Diego University, the Catholic University, over 3,000 to 6,000 youth preparing it. And that's either from all the parishes, again, alongside even with the college students that are the Catholic students. So it's nice to see, and it's a whole weekend. They'll do from a Thursday to a Saturday, and it's retreat and it's
Did they do
events.
did you
It's
ever do this?
amazing. My son comes renewed. It's great for the
I
youth.
did. It was in high school, and they used to call it a search. And you get a little cross, and they would take away your watches. And
Retreats,
a bunch of us, it was a retreat, and they didn't want you. They just wanted you to totally focus on spirituality and all that. And you make great friends, and we're all in high school, and it's something special. When I go to church, because it's a tough world, and we keep up with politics, so we know all the crazy stuff that's going on there. But it's so renewing to me, and you see the families there, and there are families, and they take their kids, and because in the world out there, you don't see the family unit as much anymore.
Right,
So it's really
they're seeing
revitalizing to me to see that.
They're seeing that in the time that when they go off to college, that's a very crucial state. That if you don't have that formality, that family unity,
Structure.
that structure, you tend to lose it a little bit. At least that time that the teens or the young adults go off to college. If their structure is pretty solid, they kind of come back. But that's a very crucial age because you can lose your children to all kinds of things. I mean, Christianity is important in their life. Yes, it's important that they follow it. Obviously, you have your founding, heritage, religion, faith, what have you. But to lose them to other things, and it's dangerous out there. A dangerous world out there. The drugs, or who knows what's out there. So
It's a hard and very immoral world. It's not like when I grow up. It's not looking all like when I was a young lady.
And the Pope's mission, this whole this event that he was part of. I mean, it was something. First of all, this was his very first visit ever to the United States.
Oh, he'd never had.
He had never been to the United States, and to see the community come about. I mean, for them, obviously, he's a renowned world leader, religious leader, but nobody's going to drag you out of your house. They come. People come out. People come out, and
it was good to see that. And I heard the radio talk show host, and I never really thought about it, but the Jews don't have a world leader. The Mormons don't.
Right.
I think we're the only ones that have.
Amazing.
We're the original church. I'm gonna piss people off.
Yeah, but you know what? It's amazing to see that the respect is there, that they maybe at the end they'll talk about it and oh my gosh, but to have a person because he's a human being as we are, but a holy man, come and talk about unity and family and morale and all these beautiful topics and just nothing but peace and love. Who else would not love that? And
And
all
we
these
need
all
that.
these leaders that are
No,
behind
we do
them.
need that in
It's
our
an
world today.
example of like they all want the same thing too, but again, if we bring that back into the politics, right? It's just it's two religions there. Politics and religion is one thing, but it's a tough one to try to convince people with their own.
It can be, and
political thinking.
obviously as conservatives, sometimes you just feel like the government is trying to take over and be your religion. And that's not how we were founded. God gave us our endowed our lives.
Oh, I was about to share something that I was saying. Fulton Sheen, he's amazing. If you guys have ever heard from
Sure.
him, back in the 40s, late 40s, early 50s, I think he was just politically correct. He was just an amazing theologian, and he was talking about that people lost the reality of what freedom meant. Freedom of speech didn't mean for you to just cry bloody murder in the theater. It meant it had a different meaning to it.
It has
And
responsibility.
the that was given the Congress and the way everything was structured. It was given to the power of to the people,
That's right.
and that's all gone. That's all
It's
gone.
supposed to be we the people.
We the
That's
people.
what we're based on.
Of the United States in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, and ensure domestic tranquility.
George, salute. And he wasn't even reading that, I promise you, because I can see a screen. He's watching Pearl Jam though, so I don't know. I guess we lost him.
I had
He
to
used to be an
learn.
altar boy. What happened?
I had to learn.
Pearl
I had to learn.
What did you have to learn?
In school, I had to learn the Proclamation of Independence. I had to learn the Gettysburg Address. I had to learn. Those are things that made us
Could you
learn.
recite the Gettysburg Address now? Could you do that?
Oh,
Can you still remember?
In four square.
Four score 7 years ago, our forefathers were brought upon this nation to create a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal and endowed by our Creator. And that's what.
That's
Heavens!
good. Isn't that worthy? Isn't that worthy? That's pretty good.
But we had to learn. We had to learn those verses. We had to learn the Constitution, the preamble to the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, and ensure the domestic tranquility between. So I
But
can't.
that's,
Heavens.
But it's like a lot of stuff that they don't teach in school.
They're taking it out. Grammar. Remember, right now, grammar, you can't even
do cursive. I'm on a crusade for cursive.
I second motion for that.
There's nothing wrong with cursive. It's nice.
Right.
Did you see? Okay, I posted this on Facebook. And this lady brings home her little 7-year-old daughter had written her name in cursive, right? And there was a red pen says, "I've warned you not to write it. You need to print it. I've warned you about this." So then I thought, this is ridiculous.
Oh,
I posted.
heavens.
So it's actually my cousin's daughter who, let's see, Michelle's probably early 20s. She says, my teacher used to do that to me too. My dad taught me how to write my name in cursive, and my teacher used to get after me too. That's from LA area where she grew up. And I thought, what the heck? Are you kidding me? What would be so terrible and wrong about a little 7 or 8-year-old writing their name? Everything else was in print or whatever, but when you put your name at the top of the paper,
Right.
they had written it at the top of the paper. Why is that discouraging?
It's wrong.
I
It's wrong. It's
I
like
don't understand what the moral is behind it. I really don't.
I think they take away your individuality.
we used to have to know a lot of things, especially learning all that, and you had to remember. And then when I went to my Christian school, Catholic school, we had to learn certain verses, Christian verses, and we had to be able to repeat it because I made my confirmation. And to make a confirmation, you have to be able to recite certain things, and it's part of the Catholic religion. To baptize, when you're baptized, you have to. Well, no, when you're baptized, you're a baby. But
we were. Some of them are
when
now.
you're confirmed, when you make a confirmation, you have to learn some verses and stuff, and that stuff is embedded in my head.
I want to ask you though. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but because you went to Catholic school, do you have very beautiful
Well,
handwriting?
no, I didn't go to Catholic school. I went to Sunday or
Sunday
Saturday.
school, like
Oh,
Sunday
catechism?
schools, catechism.
Oh, okay. I
Catechism.
thought you said you went to
We had to
catechism.
go every Sunday, and it was like
Sounds
they
like
would
Say it
give
again.
us.
Every
Sounds
Sunday.
like
They give us our
Polish
ofrenda,
Ofrenda.
money to give to the church, and then some of it we spent on the way over to buy ice cream. But we had to walk a couple miles.
Did you go to confession for that?
No, we just made sure that we didn't tell on each other. We'd stop at Thrifty's, buy an ice cream, and eat it on the way. But we still have enough ofrenda to give to the church. We just spent maybe 20 cents per ice cream, and we just made sure that we didn't tell on each other. And I ran into a pole. I wasn't paying attention. I was talking to one of my sisters, and when I turned like this, and the poles don't move. They don't move.
But the stars from your head did.
The stars, and everybody's laughing at me. But anyway, we had to go every Sunday to catechism, and that was our life, catechism, and then the mass afterwards, and I lived that. I lived that all my life. I was an altar boy, believe it or not, and my mom.
Tell me, okay, because you used to tell me that you were altar boy, and then in those days, that's when now you take it in your hand. That's what you used to put on the mass. So tell me.
And I used to. Well, the thing would be like this, going to when you go to the. And then sometimes it's like a gold chalice, and I would go like that, and the priest would like push me back a little bit because you go towards their neck too much, the chalice.
Don't call jihad on them.
So I used to always get in trouble
I
for
think that was a cute story. But the reason I asked you about your handwriting is because, and I've probably told the story already, I used to work with the host, and typically men don't have very beautiful handwriting. Women tend to have a little bit more elegant, nicer. This guy had beautiful handwriting. And I said, why do you have such very nice handwriting for guys? The Catholic nuns.
They hit you with a ruler. I did cursives for years and years and years and years, but I wasn't that neat. Even to this day, I'm not that neat. But as you grow older, you tend to do your little cursive a little bit better. And I'm a little bit better at it now than when I was a little kid. You couldn't even read what I wrote.
You know what? And I can actually think that the at least maybe one of the reasons is because if you have a lot, what do they say, power is more. If you have a lot of parents complaining about it, so let's say the little kid tried doing his homework, and you can't understand it, and he's getting ridiculed because you can't understand it. I have a feeling that could be something that we don't use it anymore, and he's trying and he still can't do it, and so the issues behind them taking it out is probably because maybe they're being made fun of,
But there was a way to learn cursive.
There's just something. There's a reason why they have to take it out.
They say, well, you don't need it because we have computers and people will do that. You don't need it.
But you know what? What about the kids who don't have computers? What about the kids who are low income and don't have the access to internet?
I called here locally. I live in South Phoenix, and I finally got a hold of somebody because I was saying, what grade do you teach cursive in? Nobody wanted to answer my question. I ended up getting the principal.
It should be second grade. They say
that's when I was second grade was cursive, and the principal was finally got a hold, and I said, well, I understand it's not required anymore to learn it. And I said, now I'm not an educator, I don't know, but it seems to me it's your individuality. Everybody has a different signature, so mine is not the same as yours, etc. And then there's something to me, maybe not everybody, when you have to write things in longhand, it makes you think there's a connection. And she agreed with me. And I've talked to educators since they agreed with me. So like I say, all I can think is, I hate to be paranoid, are they taking away more ability to think and process thought?
Right.
Because anybody could do print. Right. Anybody could do print, and I could print her signature the way she prints her signature.
Well, what about the whole plagiarism and all that kind of stuff that's happening? You know what I mean? And it's so easy to copy and paste and send. That's whole. That's one issue. What about? I'm thinking about that. The people that study handwriting and there's also personality. What's going to happen?
Because when I used to do my signature, I used to go George. When I did the Ortiz, I did the O, RTIZ, and I would go with the Z. and it's your
Just
personality
some
because
into it. Put some into it, right,
yeah,
George?
and the more I did it, I
Keep
would,
talking. I'm going
you
to bring
know,
something to show you.
and I would do it more and more, and I would do it more fancier till I got something that I really liked, and it was like, I like the way I do that
Well,
signature.
that's the main reason why a signature separates you
Yeah,
from it kind of connects who you are, and then it's and actually, to tell you the truth, in Mexico, it's a signature thing. It's you practice it and you have a phenomenal signature that you cannot
and
have it
that's all about
interpreted,
cursive,
and it's
'cause,
really neat, really really neat.
when you do your signatures, and it's and you practice your signature so long. I used to do it when I was like
Beautiful.
at home, not doing nothing, and doing my signature until I got to where I a certain way to do my because it's Z. My last name ends with a Z, and I would go with the Z, and I come with the line and come like that. I go, nobody can copy that. It's like you get a like you said, you get a certain uh,
It's your
individuality.
individual personal. I worked in El Paso, Texas, right there on the border, and the very rich Mexican nationals would come in. They had accounts there. The most elegant,
Oh,
wonderful signatures. They're fantastic. It's like a creation, a work of art,
It
but
is.
always perfect and the same. And we had the signature cards right behind us. This is before computers, and you pull it out exactly the same. I brought this. Okay, this is actually was my grandmother's cousin. She was a nun. She lived to be 107 years old. She was a teacher, in fact. But we were going through some pictures. This is 1953,
oh
Santa Fe, New
heavens!
Mexico,
Look at that.
and she addressed this letter. But look at this. I don't know if you
Yeah,
can
you
hold
can
that up so
hold that.
on the screen, but it's beautiful handwriting.
Oh, look
It's
at that.
it's very perfect. It's very elegant, and it wasn't that long ago that people had very
Well,
nice handwriting.
good example. Look at the Declaration of Independence. Look at those signatures from our forefathers. Look
Yeah.
at amazing. Look, and where is that happening now? I think it's a mistake that they've done, what they've done to the schools, and because they're taking more and more of
You
those
know what we
rights
should
to
do on our
the
show?
kids.
We need to have a teacher or principal, someone
We
talk
can
about
talk about
this.
this subject.
Tell us,
It's a
give
good
us the reason for doing this. I mean,
I want to know if
1953,
it's
they don't even have zip codes on it.
I know if it's a local thing. Was it a local thing? Was it a state thing? Was it a city thing? That would be an interesting
And
thing to
Michelle,
bring.
oh, I shouldn't mention her. I told you my cousin, she is in her 20s, so if she was a little girl, we're talking about 14, 15 years this has been going on. This has been going, how did that happen? And I didn't even know about it
Where did it all
until
change?
recently. It's ridiculous.
Did they teach Jasmine to?
She hasn't started learning yet.
No.
She's
She's
on
only
me.
in second grade.
And I think I think what it is
I've tried
probably
doing
just
it
going to be,
myself.
you learn the ABCs, but you're not subject to doing it.
In cursive, you have to learn how to write the A like that, and then in regular way, you just go like that with the cross. But uh, in cursive, you have to. There's a certain way to do the alphabet, and that's trained from you know in the young age.
Remember the Q? Now I don't make my Q that way. I make it just like it looks like a capital Q, but it looks more like a two. The capital Q looks more like a two. I don't know that anybody really does. I wish there were a Q on here so I could see it, but there isn't. But I saw this and I thought it's a 3-cent stamp,
This is great.
1953.
This is great. We're talking about a subject that is so. It's actually it's important.
It is important.
Because you know what. Back in still when my kids were in school, I mean they've been off school for about the oldest one maybe it'll be 10 years, but they still had to do handwriting, and so when they go off on retreats, my kids also did retreats through confirmation or what have you. They also encourage parents and vice versa. My daughter was in a girls' Catholic camp for a few years, and she'd go off, and I would send her letters, and she would send letters as well, and so handwritten letters, which was so nice, because they learned it and they studied it and practiced it, and they still write handwriting. My daughter has beautiful
She has
handwriting,
beautiful handwriting.
beautiful handwriting, and so obviously my son, he's more like a doctor, so funny, but that's
Guys,
why
like I said, most of guys,
get.
it's not as elegant. Typically, it's not as elegant.
But it's nice to be able to receive a letter. Everything now is typed, it's sent, it's pasted, it's copied, and there's
Personality.
that person that you actually sat down and because you know what, honestly, you have to sit down and take that
You
personal
gotta
time,
think, and you have
and
to
you're
think
like, you
what you're
know,
doing.
okay, what do you want to write, or what do you want to put down on that paper, and by, you know, I mean, I understand that now printing is, you know, everyone's just printing, writing, you know, but that handwritten is special.
It's more
To get a
personal.
little note,
It's
to
more
get a-
It
personal.
is more
to get a
personal.
note.
In the old days, they used to have the feather, and they used to dip it in ink, and they made. I mean, they were really into cursive.
And you know what? Do you know calligraphy? I have always wanted to learn
Oh, that's
calligraphy. Do you
amazing.
know it? Sophie?
Well, that's
I have
amazing.
always
I have a
wanted to.
calligraphy.
The pen,
I bought.
I
I
gotta do
bought.
the kit, a kit.
I bought a whole kit, and I haven't used it. It's in my bedroom, and I want to learn to
I've
do
always wanted
calligraphy.
to learn how to do it.
And it has different pens and different styles, and it goes to the whole course of calligraphy, and I just haven't had time. I am gonna do it because I love calligraphy. I love it.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's the
But let's have a guest about this because
Yeah.
this is I'm so serious about this.
well,
I
you know
really
what?
am.
I look at it for the kids, their future. You know what? It's so easy to say, well, you know what? We're done with our part. I already did my part. I raised my kids and what have you. But the other generation, you know, that's what we have to look at, and that's kind of why we all.
It is the community. I mean, Mark and I don't have any kids. We have nephews and nieces, but it's still
But
important because
it's the future, the
right, they're the future and
generation.
keep things going.
I hate for them to look back and when we're
Bye bye.
bye bye, and them say, well, what's this? What kind of writing is this?
Right.
Yeah, they can't even read it. What is that? Is that a P or is that an R? No, absolutely. And my stepmom-in-law, she does handwriting analysis, like you said. And you know what? She's dead on. I've given her somebody's writing. She had no idea who they were. And she said, oh, yeah, they're this, they're that. And I'm like,
They can
oh
tell you
my
if you're
God.
left-handed or
Freaky.
if you write going to sideways, or if your lettering, like this lettering is all going towards the right, or it's telling on that.
And then there's things like, I know one of the things is she said, when you dot your I's, if like say, I do my eyes and I do this, I don't dot it right on top. I dot it kind of over here.
Yeah.
And they say it's because you look in the future, but you're kind of always looking in the
See,
future.
that's
I
always
put
so
a
amazing
circle
to hear
on
that.
my
So what
eye.
happened to those jobs, right? Shorthand. Remember
I
shorthand?
know shorthand.
I
still
learned
can
some
do
shorthand, and I don't know if they still use it
I
in
don't
the
even
courts.
teach
Right.
When I do
They have
mine,
that other
They
thing.
have a different machine.
when I do
Better
mine, when I
machine.
do ORTIZ, the O, or the
I just
dot,
put it in.
I put a circle on the dot.
You put a circle? That's kind of a girly thing, isn't that? Is that the romantic in you?
Ay, qué horror.
Put a circle.
You know, so
Put
we
a Z,
definitely have to
then
get
do a
some.
circle.
Yeah, it's a personality thing.
So tell me, as
And
far
then I
as
get the Z and I go like that.
Like Zorro?
Yeah.
I
I feel like a Zorro sometimes.
Not a zero, a Zorro.
A Zorro.
Man, are we having fun or what?
No, yeah.
So
what time
again,
you guys wrap it up?
this is the
Right.
after show of our Chips and Salsa show on
Now, what are we
Saturday.
officially calling this thing?
The
The
show,
after show show?
the after show show.
The after show
Yes,
show?
the social.
I used to have a
like
Theo
the sound
Shoo
of
so I like to have the after
Okay,
show
sure.
show.
Chips and salsa, chillin. After the
Chips.
show.
Oh, I like
Yeah, Chips
Oh,
and
my
Salsa
heck.
chilling after the show.
after the
That
show
was
show.
Dion
show.
who just thought that was. So we're gonna have to
Chips
say
and salsa chilling
Chillin'.
after the show show. Boy, that's a mouthful.
after the show.
But please go to our website, chipsandsalsashow.com. Check it out. Go to our Facebook page, same thing, Chips, letter N, Salsa Show. Like us. We're trying to get to 1,000 likes, and we can't do it without your help.
Thank you very much.
I think right now we're
In your
gonna
kitchen.
bring in the Reverend.
Yeah, I'll go get the Reverend. I'm not going to tell you that he's smoking a cigar. I'm not going to say that.
Okay, we don't know. We don't know that he's smoking a cigar.
Keep talking. Speak amongst yourselves. Speak
So,
talk about the Reverend.
Oh,
Talk about
heavens.
yourself.
We like doing this show because what it does, it's just an extension of our Saturday show, and we're practicing it here because we want to do it in locations across the valley, restaurants, other people's homes, and as we get more into it, some of them will be secret locations because we don't want everybody to know where so and so lives. But if it's a restaurant or a bar, but a
I
restaurant.
kind of like the sound of that one. Well, who knows? I mean, just taking it out there will expose the show, expose us in a matter that we can pick up on really important topics.
And we can
Topics
talk
that
to
are
people.
just be friendly and be out there and see what they're thinking and what's
Get
in their mind and
get la
get them
comunidad,
involved.
get la comunidad to hablar or talk to us. And if we're in a restaurant, we can invite people up and say, well, what do you think about this topic that we just talked about for the last 2 days? Because we do the Friday and Saturday show. And they may have comments that we didn't even think about.
And you know what?
And it's
We
good.
don't all have to agree. This is not about whether it's right or wrong.
Exactly.
It's just about sharing, and if we can, and it's great to have the public's eye and the input, and because I mean, I'm not a professional speaker, nor I tend to be. I'm just a person who likes to get involved, and if I can help with maybe something that I may say, well, I'm here, and because I care, I definitely want to
And it's
get
good
more
to
involved.
agree to disagree. And
Right, it's healthy.
if
It's
they
healthy.
feel that we said something
good
that
relationship.
may have been offended
what.
or something that we said that they didn't agree with, we'd be love to talk about it because that adds the community's input. I wish the politicians did that. I wish the politicians went to restaurants and sat down and did an after show of the bill that they just passed. Because they would get,
That's definitely a
they would
great
get,
way to put that,
you know,
George.
they
That's
would
awesome.
get input from the people. Say, hey, I put you in office, and you just voted against this bill that I wanted passed, and we told you we wanted it passed because it was going to help our community, and now you just vetoed it or you just voted against it. I mean, we elected you to represent us, not to be in the good old boys club, you know. Now it's,
That's great.
Alice walks in and she's telling her good old boys club, so she don't know what we're talking about, but we're talking about if we take this show to a restaurant and we're talking to the community, and here you're a politician and you're doing this, and the person comes up to you and says, "Why did you?" Because we said, "Why doesn't the politician
Like after their
do
meeting or after an event like
this?"
let's say somebody did a vote or they had an important meeting and what have you. So let's say they can take that to the community, like kind of like what we're doing,
They can
and
do
talk
it like
about
this. They can
and
do
they
it.
can they can
And then the constituents could say, "Well, why did you vote on this bill when we expressly sent you not to vote on this bill?" Well, I had to make a deal with the good old boys club, and I had to pass this bill to pass that
Go
bill.
into that voice that talks like that.
Do I sound like John McCain?
but I think it's important that
with the technology we have, you're absolutely right.
I
they
mean,
could
even
certainly
when
do
they
that.
get out, I mean, they go into these events, they pay $1,000 a dinner, or they invite them to, and then these $1,000 dinners, right? They walk out of there with their noses up in the air, and they don't want to see anyone else. It's when they should come out and talk to the public and say, hey, so what was your view? What did you think? Or what?
You're absolutely right. And then you and I have been
this
to
is what
enough events that they come and speak, as you say, and that's fine. And like the women's club that we have, we want them to come. They want to talk to us, but also there should also be some Q&A time.
Absolutely.
There should be some Q&A time and answer.
Now see this.
The good ones do have it. The good ones will say, "Do you have any questions?" Or if the meeting's over, I'll be available after. The good politicians, I should say, the ones that want to really talk to you, they'll do it.
Right.
Sometimes they're busy. Once in a while they have another meeting. Okay.
Taking the time to do it. I think what it is that they, because they're in the spotlight and they have a title, and I understand that the secret as far as security per se about who they are, their life, and who are they surrounded with. But to have something so casual like this, to say, kind of like a town hall meeting, kind of like an open town hall meeting, but where it's casual, where you're not gonna be at each other's throats. This is not about this is the wrong place. We're not gonna be at each other's throat about anything.
And in effect,
but kind of like, hey,
the people
casually
are
speaking,
their bosses. We are the bosses. When I was in office for the 4 years you were my boss. You were my constituent. So basically, I was representing you. I was doing the job, but you were my boss.
Just a simple conversation, kind of like you say, well, you know what, guys, this is off the record, right? This is kind of an off the record situation, and you can address like
I don't like that term, to be honest.
Well, what
off
I'm
the
saying,
record.
that's kind of how
Just
they
do
feel, though. That's kind of how people feel if they're there and they can't speak really of who they are and what they want to say. So when they really want to say something themselves, meaning their personal stuff, they say off the record because that means it's coming from them personally. Unfortunately, they have to say it that way because it's kind of like don't
No,
hold
off the
me
record
down.
is saying I don't want this to go any
Well,
further.
that's what I'm saying. Don't hold me down to what I'm saying, but this is what I
Yeah.
feel. Don't hold me down to what I'm saying, but this is how I feel. So when they're back on the spotlight and say, well, you said this, right? So why can't a public
Well, in today's world,
face
people have cameras and everything. To me, nothing is private.
well,
Even you think you're talking to somebody privately, somebody could have their phone on and be taping your conversation.
right?
When somebody's like, "Oh,
So
surprise!"
all these sound bites,
Yeah, it is a different world. I can't believe.
But I like
there
these.
you go. There you go.
But I
So
like
now you
these
can't have
these after the show shows because we reach out to the people and doing it in a restaurant or another location that's not a house, even in a house too, if you have a large gathering, but in a restaurant where you can bring the community in and say, hey, what do you think? What do you think about what we just said about the Pope? What are your feelings? What do you think about Boehner? Boehner, resigning. What's your feelings?
Boehner, Boner, Beaner.
It does spell Boner on the.
I had another opportunity to say that.
It does spell out for us Latinos. It says Boner.
Boehner.
But his name is Boehner. You pronounce it Boehner, but hey. We're Latinos.
How did you say that again?
No one ever
How did
pronounced
you
it
say
right.
that again, Alice?
It's Boehner, Boner, Beaner. Those are the awards. I wanted Martin to call those on the Friday night show, but I don't think he liked that. Boehner, Boner, Beaner. I'm getting good at saying it. Go for it, George. Boehner, Boner, Beaner.
Oh, I said it right the other way. Boehner, Boner, Beaner.
Yeah. Well, this
and I
is.
just won't say that also.
This is the Chips and Salsa show, and I'm thinking, this is
Biff,
kind of
listen.
like the Chips and Salsa show. What did you say? Dion?
Chillin.
After the show, or Mexican heat.
A Mexican hee-haw. I mean, is he
We
gonna
gotta get our straw hats too.
Oh, he's gonna pass.
We gotta get our straw hats.
Gloom, despair, agony. Whoa.
Well,
Anyhow, so.
So let's see. Are we gonna wrap it up? We should talk about. Watch for us on Friday nights, 8 p.m. KFNX 1100KFNX.com. They also have a live web stream. How does that work? Have you been following that, Sonia? Is it pretty good?
The only thing is when you're doing the live stream, you have to have the listen to it live as well because watching the video you can't hear
It's
anything.
a Japanese delay.
Yeah.
No. She's gotta remain a secret. Remember, that's what she's secret.
so
Secret Sonia.
remember we
She's really not real.
if you're lucky enough to be a sponsor of our show, we'll promote your business. We do promote One Truth. They're one of our sponsors, and listen to them on iTunes and Facebook. And Vet Ads, we do promote them. They're on this one, but you can't see. They're way down there at the bottom. But they're Veterans Magazine.
And they help vets get into business. They're a good organization.
And we try to reach out to the community and try to get people to come in to be sponsors that have relevance to the community. So that's one thing we're going to be looking for.
I think we can say one Latino at a time.
Oh,
You know
saving
that?
one Latino at a time.
Right. One Latino at a time. I
So-
like the sound of that.
so we
That
really
should be our
thank you.
motto.
So we really thank you for listening to us today on the after show. And we're going to continue.
Salsa show after show.
Gotta get our
Chillin.
maracas.
We'll
And
get
we're
on
going
it.
to continue doing this, so you can look forward to it. We have our little marachis going, mariachis going. And we're going to do a sports segment starting next week, so we're going to see how that turns out. So.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you
Have a wonderful night.
and
Thank
watching.
you.
Anything else before we sign off? Have a wonderful weekend.
Have a wonderful
Thanks so much
weekend.
for
Enjoy your
Thank you.
Sunday. I'm going to be watching the football game tomorrow.
Many blessings to all.
I'll be at the football game.
Have a good
Peace
Sunday.
out.
The after football.
Hasta pronto.
Hasta.
Hasta luego.
Guac and roll.